Hey, this is Simon. We have a lot of fun with our spoiler section and we want more of you to have access. So we've added the spoiler perk to the Landed Knight tier. Follow the link to buy me a coffee in the show notes and sign up to hear the future. Thanks. Hello, welcome to the Ghosts of Harrenhal. My name's Simon.
And I'm Mackelly.
Thank you for joining us for episode 319 of our chapter-by-chapter book review of A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. Today we'll be discussing chapter 47 of A Dance with Dragons, which is Tyrion 10.
And as always, we're going to chat about the chapter and try not to spoil any future plot points for you, unless of course you have a Buy Me a Coffee Sustainer tier that includes spoilers. Well, then we are going to spoil things for you. Regardless, hopefully we'll provide you some entertainment along the way.
We'll summarise what happened, discuss our thoughts on it, provide some useful background, compare it to the television show, indulge a little pedantry, and cover some relevant news and listener correspondence. Be sure to check out the show notes. They'll provide some additional information about the characters and geography of this chapter. How are you, Mackelly?
I am doing well. We are unfortunately starting about 15 minutes late because my whole family is intact under one roof for the first time.
You can't tear yourself away.
Yes, we were all sitting around the dinner table. Molly had gotten what she felt was an unfair grade on a chem lab final paper. And so she wrote this long email to the professor explaining why she found, because the issue is that it dropped her from an A to an A minus in the class. And so she listed all the reasons why this was wrong, and she wouldn't mind, it wouldn't be a big deal except for that it had knocked her down to an A minus. And I made a few adjustments to, make it a little less.
Ever the editor.
Yeah. Yes. And she sent it. And then, 5 minutes later, she goes and looks at her final grades, and he gave her an A in the class. So she was like, oh no, what do I do now? So she sent another response that said, I just saw my grade in the class. Please disregard my previous email. Have a great winter break. I hope to see you next spring.
That's unfortunate.
Oh, yes. Ethan was like, why would you write that before you checked your final grade?
Were there any death threats in it? That's the real question.
There were not.
Okay, well, she's probably okay then.
The first version had a bit of, explain yourself, mister. I was like, well, let's tone that down a little bit.
There's also a generational thing. I can't imagine appealing to a professor for a grade.
Me either. No.
Yeah, it's like
never.
Yeah, well, I should have worked harder, shouldn't I?
So, but it was really nice. It was just nice to have all of us around the dinner table, and something you try not to take for granted when they're living at home as younger people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard not to at times. So you appreciate it when it's so rare as it is these days.
Yeah.
How about you? How you doing?
I'm all right. I've had medical things this week. My PT. So I've had this shoulder surgery and I've got off very lightly. It feels like, but the PT is now kicking in, and man, he can really hurt me, and he doesn't have to try very hard. Today I was lying on my back and I was bench pressing. Do you know how much I was bench pressing? A wooden walking stick. And I had tears trickling out the corners of my eyes.
Really?
Oh God, it hurt. Man,
so it's just the motion, basically. Is.
Mm-hmm. And this came on the back of yesterday. I had the dentist, and I had a filling. And I really love my dentist, and she prescribes me relaxy pills for when I have to go visit her.
Sure. Yeah.
And she says she does that because I'm a patient, like she's a patient. One of the reasons I like her as a dentist is she is caring, and she says the reason I'm caring is because I hate going to the dentist. It's awful.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's fascinating. For a dentist to hate the dentist.
Yeah. And so she says and at one point I flinched with the pain of what she was doing, and so she re-upped my Novocaine. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when she re-upped my Novocaine, she patted me on the shoulder. Sympathetically, but she chose my bad shoulder.
No.
And I was like, can you put some in there as well?
I appreciate the intent, but execution was not great. Well.
So The other thing that's happened this week is I use Mint Mobile for my mobile needs.
Okay, yeah.
Other carriers are available, and I don't know all the other carriers, but I'll go out on a limb and say that they have better customer service.
Isn't this that actor? What's his name?
Yep.
Yeah.
Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
Yep.
that guy. His company.
Well, I believe he sold it, but he still does the advertising for it.
Oh, I see. All right.
He made his billions,
Right. Yeah.
But I'm hot foot and rather hot under the collar from an interaction with them, where I signed off with, "You have the worst customer service in the world."
Oh.
I said, "I have been mugged at knife point with better customer service than you offer."
Oh my!
And I'm not exaggerating. When I got mugged, the guy was very friendly and nice.
Well,
compared to Mint's customer service. Honestly, the mugger, he had my best interest at heart. He had his own best interest firmly at heart.
Sure, yeah,
but
yeah.
He didn't want this interaction to go horribly wrong. I cannot say the same for Mint customer service. They seemed to relish in the misery that they were causing me.
Well, that's unfortunate to hear. I sorry to hear this. That's the worst when you get a poor customer service situation.
Oh, it was God, it was frustrating as well. It was so maddening because I kept saying the same thing. And it was very simple. My wife and I have the same plan, and the renewal price was different for the two of us. Hers was higher. And he kept saying, "Okay, the price for that plan is this." I was like, "I know what the price for the plan is, and that's what I'm being charged, but my wife is being charged more." He's like, "Here's the details of the pricing." I'm like, "Again, I know what the price of the plan is, but my wife is being asked for more money than that."
What's hard about that to understand?
He at one point, after like an hour of this, he said, "So do you want me to take Lucas's plan and turn that into the same plan as you and Carson?" I'm like,
"What?
No,
what does he have to do with anything?"
Yeah. The thing is, he's being charged more because he's on a higher plan. He gets charged more, and now Carson is getting charged the same as him, but for the plan that I'm on the low end plan. So it's kind of like, I could kind of see why he was getting, it's like, "Do you want to move plans?" I'm like, "No, we're on the right plans. We're just getting charged the wrong price." And he's like, "I got it for you." He said, "Look, in September, you were charged the right amount." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the past. The bill has come."
Great. You did your job right back then. That's not really the point, is it?
I just hope that happens again going forward because... Oh, God, it was so bad. It really was. And the thing was, the guy was kind of polite, so I didn't want to be mean, but after more than an hour, I was like, I'm ready to commit.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's unfortunate.
My family have been doing a series of Christmas quizzes. My sister's getting them off the TV every day, and she posts them in the family channel. And one of them, it turned out there were enough clues in the question to make you realize that what it was looking for was the last word of the lines of the song "Last Christmas" by Wham. Oh, another Deadpool reference. They are.
Oh,
he was a big Wham fan.
Right.
Now, do you know the words to "Last Christmas" by Wham?
I know some of them.
I bet you're going to be able to do this. All right. So basically, it was the first four lines. It gave you the first three words, the first three last words, but it wanted the fourth one. So I'm going to sing it to you now. Everyone likes it when I sing.
Yes,
and
they do.
You provide the last word. Okay.
Okay.
So last Christmas, I gave you my
heart,
and the very next day, you gave it
away.
This year, to save me from
tears,
I'll give it to someone
special.
Yes, okay. Mackelly for the win. Well done. But it's unfortunate you hesitated over that because that was the word. I did the same thing with Carson, and she finished it with else.
that doesn't fit. I gave it to someone else,
which literally fits the context of the sentence, but it didn't work with the song.
No, it doesn't. Is it special? It was special, right? I gave
special
it to someone
was correct.
Special.
Well done.
Yes. Okay. I was like, it's special or better? Which one is it? I thought it was special.
Well, anyway, let's get down to business. How do we leave Tyrion Lannister? Last we saw of Tyrion, he was aboard the sellsword Coran. The ship was damaged beyond repair in an almighty storm, but just when it seemed all was lost, a ship sailed into view. However, Ser Jorah pointed out that it was a slaving ship, so their rescue might not be all blankets and first aid kits.
Feels
Mackelly,
like it.
why don't we give the summary of this one?
Okay. Well, Tyrion, Penny, Pretty, and Crunch are on the block to be sold into slavery in a Yunkish slave market set up outside of the walls of Meereen. Bidding is brisk, with locals and Westerosi submitting bids. Tyrion assumes the latter knows who he is and figures the sellsword thinks he'll get a return on his investment when he drags Tyrion back to King's Landing. The auctioneer has them perform, and this further drives up the price. Tyrion tries to bid for himself, but that just gets laughter from the crowd and another lick of the whip.
Eventually, the Yunkish nobleman Yezzan Qaggaz wins out. He gives Tyrion the heebie-jeebies, but it's with Yezzan's functionary, Nurse, that Penny and Tyrion will spend their time. They're about to be taken away when Ser Jorah is brought to the block. On the spur of the moment, Tyrion explains to Nurse that Ser Jorah is part of their act. He is the bear to Penny's maiden fair. Nurse is sceptical, but explains to Yezzan, who adds Ser Jorah to his shopping cart.
We'll be right back.
Hello, friends. Are you ready to make some unforgettable memories? Well, if so, consider the Marriott Bonvoy program. Discover the perfect destination for your summer getaway and unlock exclusive deals on luxurious accommodations. With our affiliate partnership, you'll enjoy unbeatable savings and a seamless booking experience. Don't let summer slip away. Visit Marriott Bonvoy today and make this vacation season one for the books. Use our Ghosts of Harrenhal affiliate page to check it all out and buy Bonvoy points or give some as a gift. The link to our page is in the show notes. Penny's confused why Tyrion would do that. Tyrion gets no thanks from Mormont. He fought the slavers like a tiger, but even once subdued, he was still spoiling for a fight. But now, he's forlorn and listless. Learning that Daenerys had married Hizdahr's Loraq broke the big man's spirit in a way that the whips and chains never had. The party leaves the slave market and heads for Yezzan's camp. On the way, they see slaves lined up for punishment for trying to escape. Nurse takes the opportunity to reinforce some slavery rules to the new recruits. The escapees are pelted with lead balls from slings. Tyrion has always thought the sling an inferior weapon, but the display convinces him of the error of his ways.
Indeed. At Yezzan's encampment, Penny and Tyrion are brought into the inner sanctum, where the noble keeps his special slaves, his treasures. Amongst them, a hermaphrodite named Sweets, who warns that the one true monster in the camp is Nurse. That night, Penny and Tyrion perform for Yezzan, who is hosting the nobles and generals of the war on Meereen. Their performance goes well. Much hilarity amongst the assembled dignitaries. After they're done, they serve drinks to the guest, and Tyrion is encouraged to show off his cyvasse skills.
Tyrion beats his first opponent, but Brown Ben Plum is up next. He wants to play for stakes. He'd like to play for Tyrion himself, but Yezzan refuses. They will play for money instead. Tyrion wins the first game, but Plum takes the second for double the stakes. Tyrion evaluates the man. He plays not to lose rather than to win, which worked in Game 2 when Tyrion overreached. He's avuncular, but the smiles don't reach his eyes. Hungry and wary are Tyrion's two adjectives for Plum.
They play again, and Tyrion takes games 3, 4, and 5. Plum gives up, impoverished, but Yezzan has fallen asleep and missed his slaves' victories. As the party winds down, Nurse gives the slave waiters permission to dine on the leftovers before clearing up. While Penny and Tyrion are cleaning the floor, Nurse approaches. They've done very well. So well, in fact, that the Supreme Commander, Yunkish, has convinced Yezzan that their act needs a wider stage. They will perform in the great pit of Daznak in front of tens of thousands, and how they'll laugh.
Oh, yes, they will. Certainly.
Yep.
Well, the first thing that struck me in this chapter was the stark contrasting weather between this chapter and a Ghost in Winterfell last week. Because this is sweltering, muggy. steamy heat, and the very opposite of Winterfell.
Which is interesting, actually, because I always, whenever they're here, and I don't know, maybe this is a TV show, it's infected me, I always think of it as dry and deserty, but I mean, Tyrion says it's really humid and nasty, sort of everything drips with moisture.
Yeah, it's it just makes you wonder when people like Melisandre speak about how the Great Other will turn the whole world into a frozen wasteland. It's hard to wrap your head around that happening in places like Meereen and Atlantis and this far south.
Yeah, I also wonder about whether the ASOIAF care. I mean, if this Great Other were to devastate Westeros and take it and destroy it, is he then going to build ships and come across the narrow sea?
I've wondered that too. I've wondered places like the Summer Islands. Would they even care?
Right.
It would be so. Even if the Great Other, the others, could freeze over the narrow sea and walk across the narrow sea or something, could they get all the way to the Summer Isles? I mean, I just
presume. Yeah. That feels unlikely for sure. But I hadn't thought about the potential for it freezing, because of course the stepstones go quite a long way, but they are far south too. So like you said, the cold would have to come a long way south for that to happen. You could sort of imagine up by Hardhome, the sea freezing out to some distance.
Oh yes,
but that's too far north. That's north of anything in Essos, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember the history of the Long Night. It's possible that the Shivering Sea did freeze over during the Long Night. I'd have to go research that, which would extend to Essos. And I know there is legends about the Long Night in Essos. I think it was just a few episodes ago, where I talked about, it was the Arya episode, where I talked about the Church of Starry Wisdom and how they believed that something their leader did their founder kicked off the Long Night. I think it was killing his sister or something like that. Yeah.
So that is interesting. So, I mean, obviously Melisandre is from Essos and she believes in this. So it's not unknown, but it does feel like Westeros is the front line of the battle. I mean,
yes,
there is no wall in Essos. They assume the sea will keep them safe from it. But
yeah, you would think that other priests of R'hllor would be more involved in more invested in wanting to get more involved with the Great Other. But maybe Melisandre is the only one that believes that the threat of the Great Other is actually the others north of the Wall in Westeros.
That is one thing that's always fascinating about R'hllor is what is the sort of common thinking? You know, is she a representative or is she just a rogue of R'hllor? You know.
Yeah.
You know, they might maybe all saw the same things in the fires, and most of them just went, it looks like it's going to be cold in Westeros. Big deal, you know. But she saw something that she needed to act upon.
They thought they were seeing the Farmer's Almanac, and she thought she was seeing the end of the world.
We brushed over it a little bit, but the scenes in the slave market are pretty horrible. Like between the selling of Penny and Tyrion and Jorah being on the block, I think a young girl is stripped naked and paraded before them. And at the time, Tyrion thinks, well, at least Penny was spared that, you know. But I did notice as the auctioneer was trying to push up the price, he mentions that Penny and Tyrion could breed, and then there'd be a good return on this investment, because they would presumably, the assumption would be their children would be dwarves as well, and so you'd have another round of this entertainment which they purportedly bring.
Yeah, this chapter is just one of the countless examples of why A Song of Ice and Fire is not for the faint of heart.
No,
it's not a casual fantasy of type story.
And the slave punishment with the lead balls from the slings is gruesome beyond belief as well.
Yes, good point. Absolutely. Yeah. But we also see what Dany heard being constructed in her chapter. She heard all the banging the hammering and such. And it's the slave market here that was being constructed, but also the 6 huge trebuchets that Tyrion sees as they go through camp from the slave market to Yezzan's tent. And
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Help me remember. I thought that she said something along the lines of they didn't need war machines because they were planning to starve her out. But
right, yeah, she was thinking that. She specifically mentioned battering rams and stuff like that.
Right.
So
yes,
I guess that would be to prevent destroying the walls. But I guess they could fire things into the city that would hurt people more than it would possibly destroy the city itself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, certainly lead balls would hurt people.
That sure does. Sure does. Yeah. That was a pretty terrible description of what they do when they hit humans. But so all 6 of the huge trebuchets have different names. One's like Dragon Breaker, Wicked Sister, Harpy's Daughter. And one of them was called Mazdan's Fist. And we learned recently that Hizdahr's Loraq has an ancestor named Mazdan. And I wondered if that was it's probably a common name. You know, there's a ton of very similar names in this part of the world.
Let's assume not. Yes. Let's assume not a coincidence. Tell me more.
Could it be any sort of indication that the Yunkai hail Hizdahr as some sort of hero, that he is bringing down Dany, going about it a different way, but bringing her down and ending these issues that they have?
It's hard to pinpoint because, of course, that thing is pointing at Hizdahr, you know.
Well, yeah, that's true.
He would be one of the victims were they to start firing that thing. I mean, he's presumably inside a pyramid, but it's his people. So, but yeah, there's always this suspicion that he's working for the forces outside the city.
Right.
So
we know Qaggaz thinks that.
Right. And if they're naming the machines of war for his ancestors, that does suggest that there's a possible degree of culpability there. Although, might be a good way to spread dissent in the ranks of your opponents, you know?
Well, true. Yeah. The guard who tells Tyrion and Penny and Jorah that Dany had married Hizdahr refers to him as a slaver, but possibly he's just considering all lords and great
I
masters.
think every
and good
noble
masters.
from Meereen was a slaver at some point, you know.
Right? Yeah. So
they were buying and selling them, even if they, you know.
Right. Yeah. But so we learn about how when we last saw this group, it ended with Jorah saying, "That's a slaver," referring to the ship that was coming to their rescue, and that was where the chapter ended. But we learned in this chapter what happened when the ship arrived to take them as slaves, that Jorah put up quite the fight against the slavers. Right. He killed 3 before he was finally surrounded, and then he was beaten to within an inch of his life and starved and branded. And I just wondered, what was his plan there? He wasn't going to take on the whole ship himself. So
yeah, but you know what though? That you say that, but I'm guessing that this if you're a ship which is crewed by sailors and then occupied by some heavies to keep slaves in line, you're not actually expecting to find a bunch of new slaves out on the open sea.
No, yeah.
So if you're bringing people on board already in chains, how much military might do you actually need to keep all this in line? Not that much, I would think.
I guess so.
A very angry Jorah could conceivably have taken that ship, I think.
We'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Audible. To get a free audiobook, or 2 if you're an Amazon Prime member, go to our exclusive URL, audibletrial.com/ghostsharrenhal. You can find the link in our show notes. All by himself? I guess it depends on how many were on the ship, and
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking the sailors did double duty as guards, so some of them were more sailors, some of them were more guard. But I bet the total crew was probably less than 20.
Yeah, that could be. It makes sense. Yeah. Well,
And they wouldn't need a huge amount. They'd have a few whips to whip people, but they wouldn't have swords and shields because they're not expecting these people to break their chains and fight them.
yeah, that makes sense. I see what you're saying. They weren't expecting to come across a crew of people that they could take on as slaves.
Right.
So anybody that they already had on the ship as slaves, if they were heading to Meereen or Yunkish to sell them, they would already have in chains. So yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess it would have been a judgment call. If he saw 50 armed people on that ship, that would be one thing. But maybe if there were 10 lightly armed, he thought
I wonder if he knew where they were going, he might not have put up such a big fight.
That is
if they
true.
said, we're taking you to Meereen, he'd be like, oh, well, in that case,
okay.
chain me up.
Yeah. I had thought about, could he have said, I'm the former hand of the queen to Daenerys, I will fetch a pretty penny if you sell me to her.
Yeah, a lot more than I would as a slave.
Because I don't think, even though it ended poorly, and we know, we've been in Dany's head, she does still have fond thoughts for Jorah.
Yeah.
But even as Jorah, not knowing those thoughts, I don't believe that she would want to see Jorah end up in the slave market,
Yeah. The only thing is, from a slaver's perspective, you might say, all right, this guy on the block, yeah, he's kind of beaten, he's got no teeth left, broken ribs, kind of ugly looking, but you could probably sell him to Daenerys for 10 times what you're about to pay for him here. So what do I bid?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's a lot easier. You don't have to get inside and try and talk her into it and try and get her money out of her. Leave that to the person who buys him from you.
Yeah, especially, I mean, maybe the auctioneer should have played that angle when he knew there were Westeros.
But he probably didn't say it, is the thing.
Oh, yes, he wouldn't have. Have.
You're saying if he'd said it, they might not have treated him as a slave. But in actual fact, I'm saying they probably still would and just use that to drive up the price.
Because what made me think of it is that the Widow of the Waterfront wrote a note for the actual sailors on the ship, kind of as a retainer. Like if a slaver picks you up, I will pay your fee.
Right.
And the fiery hands that were remaining, I think there were 3 of them, they were certainly going to be bought back by
the church.
The Church of R'hllor, yes. And so I was thinking, well, these guys, Jorah at least, has also a big fish that he could say will pay a price for me.
Yeah.
And, they might have wanted to hold him captive for her until the peace deal was signed, but I don't know. I just thought he might want to consider playing that angle.
Yeah, as he breathed through broken teeth and bled onto the floor of the ship, I wonder if he had second thoughts. Like, could have gone that route.
Maybe I should have taken...
Where were you, Mackelly, when I was about to...
Maybe I should have taken a different approach here now that I'm thinking back on it. But sadly, the life has gone out of him once he learns that Daenerys has married Hizdahr, and I understand his feelings, but she was married once before.
Yeah.
And, I know he didn't have the relationship with her that he did after Drogo died.
Yeah.
That he did before Drogo died. But my point is, Hizdahr might not be around forever as well. Right. I don't know that it's reason to go completely deflated like that, life is over.
The thing is, he loves her on many levels. He loves her as a woman, but he would also love to serve her. If, the fact that she's married, he'd still give him his right arm to be her hand of the queen.
Right. And he must know that she's marrying for cause, not for love. I mean, especially if he's believing that she married this slaver named Hizdahr, that she didn't fall head over heels for this slaver. And
if you married Dario, you might want to just say, all right.
Yes.
I'll be a slave.
I was just thinking that. He doesn't know about Dario, and that is a much bigger concern
Right.
if he, for his designs anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but so the bidding goes for Tyrion and Penny first, and they go for an absolute fortune. I mean, far more than the sailors went for, which surprised me. I mean, Tyrion at first, when the price starts to go up, Tyrion thinks they're just buying the pig here, but it gets to the point where clearly they're very interested in, and some of it is driven up by there's at least one Westerosi bidding, maybe more than one, and he's like, those people know who I am. That's why they're willing to bid up higher than they can afford, because they think there's a big payout at the end of the day if they can get me.
Right.
But the local nobility are cash rich, and we're able to see them beaten. But he's eventually, I think they sold for 5,000, whatever the currency is. And then Jorah, he can't even get 100 for Jorah, which is just amazing to me, because Jorah's an absolute monster. But the point is, he is just sitting there listlessly. He's like a broken animal, so he's not really projecting any kind of value. But Tyrion goes that extra mile of saying to Nurse, look, he's part of our act, and Nurse is extremely skeptical. But Tyrion, always good on thinking on his feet, says he's the bear for the maiden fair. I hit him in the balls, and much hilarity ensues. And this convinces Nurse to at least talk to Yezzan, and Yezzan says, sure, whatever. I mean, it's not going to break the bank, clearly, because nobody wants this guy. So they pick him up. And then what's interesting about that is, what is Tyrion's motivation for this? Because he intervened. He intervened to keep Jorah close.
Penny doesn't know. She's like, Penny's why did you do that?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Now, to a certain extent, even someone who doesn't like you, who you've traveled long distance with, you might want to keep them close to you. I get that.
Yes,
there's a bond of, not friendship, but just of shared experience that gives you something to hang your hat on. And he's a fearsome fighter. I mean, I'm with you. I'm not sure he should have tried to take the slave ship on single-handedly, but if I was Tyrion and Penny, I'd be glad that was between me and the slavers. Acting as a buffer.
Absolutely.
But does he think that Jorah might be the way to get to Daenerys?
That's a good question, and that does make sense, because Daenerys wouldn't know that Tyrion Lannister has arrived. She would not know to believe that this person is Tyrion Lannister just because he says that he is. But she would certainly know Jorah Mormont if someone approached her and said, I will sell you these two, or whatever.
And given his current state, if Jorah got sold to someone who figured out who he was and went to Dany and said, hey, will you buy this guy from me? I believe he's yours, kind of thing. Jorah wouldn't know where the heck to find Tyrion.
Oh, right.
He was bought by some noble. I missed it. But now, if that happens, he knows exactly where Tyrion is, because Tyrion made sure of that.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny that Tyrion sells it as part of their act. I'm sure Jorah's going to love that, but I guess it's better than the alternative.
Well, yeah, possibly. Although, I mean, he might thrive in the fighting pits if that's where he's headed, if that's where he would have been headed.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like he's going to thrive, because he doesn't seem like he's going to pick up the sword. He just seems like ready for death, but...
Yeah, well, he's a lot closer to Daenerys than he was when he first met Tyrion, when he was miserable in Volantis. So he's closer to Dany. He's stuck in a slave camp, which is awful, but at least there's some possibility of reaching her from here. Yeah.
And if what Nurse says at the end of the chapter pans out, then Penny and Tyrion, at least, will be performing in the fighting pits. Now, I don't think Dany's going to be a regular in the fighting pits, but I would imagine that there's going to be some ceremony to sort of announce the reopening of the fighting pits, and she might be there for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if Jorah is part of the act, maybe he wants to tell them, hey, let's really do this act for that day. I'm ready.
Yeah, that might perk him up.
Exactly.
Actually, knowing we'll work you into the act, and we will all go into the fighting pit, and Daenerys will be there and see what happens.
So as
But
usual, you did more background than I did. So you know who all the bidders were.
well, we know who all but one of them
Okay.
is.
Okay.
So yeah, we can go through them. Yezzan Zo Qaggaz is the man who buys them.
Yeah.
And we heard about him in Quentin Martell's chapter, when he was outside of Astapor with the wind blown. And it was mentioned at the time, and also again in this chapter, that he is the richest man in Yunkai.
Yeah.
So, and as, I don't know, first of all, he was giving me some serious Jabba the Hutt vibes. I don't know about you.
Yes, exactly. That is what you envision when you hear him, and also sort of like Jabba kind of had this, but Star Wars is something of a kids movie, but an overlay of sort of perversion on top of that as well, sort of
Yeah.
a morbid fascination with those who are different and
True. Yeah, he's all in yellow too, which is, Jabba was green, but being all in yellow, being all in green, them both being, Tyrion refers to him as being the size of 4 Illyrios. I don't know how a person survives being the size of 4 Illyrios. Yeah. There might have been some hyperbole involved. We don't know. But
the dog we're dog sitting for, we finally weighed. It's been difficult to weigh the dog because you can't get a dog to stand on a scale.
Oh,
so you have to carry the dog, but I've only got one arm and I literally can't lift that thing up with one arm. So eventually we convinced Carson to do it. And the dog it's the smallest of our 3 dogs. And you know the size of our dogs. Twiggy's like 24 pounds and Penny's like 27 pounds. This dog is 40 pounds.
Oh, wow. This is the triangle dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
she's
putting her in context.
We're trying to help her lose some weight, but her little legs are so crushed under her weight that you can't really walk her very far. She gets tired sort of immediately. So it's all by diet, really. And
yeah, it's tough. Is she a dachshund?
No, she's a mangy hound.
Okay.
Just a mutt.
My mother-in-law had a dachshund who was overweight, and her legs were so tiny little stubs that she couldn't do a lot of exercise. So I think in dogs like that, you got to be real careful about diet because they can't naturally burn a lot of calories, I feel like. Anyway, we've gotten slightly off track.
Have we?
I will say that, how to say this? As slavers go, there were worse. There appears to have been worse options.
Right.
Than Yezzan.
Yes, he's wealthy enough to not starve them, and his mistreatment of them seems to be sort of more along the sort of sexual perversion end of the scale rather than malicious Ramsay Bolton-esque hurting of them.
Yes.
So, yeah, definitely could be worse. I choose him over Ramsay.
Now, Nurse is their overseer, paints a lovely picture, but the other members of what Tyrion refers to as the grotesquerie set a more realistic tone, and they paint Nurse as the biggest problem. I think Sweets says he's the only monster here, and Nurse slaps Tyrion just for the idea of misbehaving. Tyrion hadn't actually done anything, but Nurse is just thinking about if you were to misbehave and slaps him for it. And he continually threatens punishment if they step out of line, kind of for no reason, I guess just to let them know that it's coming if you do. Right before they go out and perform, Nurse says to them, "Be amusing or you'll wish you had."
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Okay.
I do think that you've got to be careful not to give Yezzan complete pass here, because if I was an evil, super rich, nasty piece of work, one thing I would do is I would try not to let people see that, but I would have a tier of henchmen who had carte blanche to be as evil as they wanted to be, because that would keep the people below that in line,
Exactly. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's it's a layer of protection from Yezzan. He can say, my hands are clean, but he's the puppet master. If Yezzan's a really nice guy who really cares for his slaves, then he wouldn't have Nurse in charge of them.
Right, and he wouldn't have slaves, first of all.
You might argue you wouldn't have slaves, yes.
Yeah.
But again, I think I've mentioned this before, but it is an interesting point that slavery has had different meanings throughout the not Western civilization, but throughout human civilization. And there were, before United States slavery, there was a lot of slavery that was actually sort of like time bound. Once you served a certain amount of time, you were then freed. And often, because the situation was not as oppressive, the freed slave would stay and work as a paid worker. They would have been captured in a battle of some sort, and now they've been enslaved. But it wouldn't be a permanent thing, and they would have some rights and things. So there is a sort of a sliding scale of what slavery has meant over the course of human history.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yezzan, even if he has to be a slaver, he could be a slaver who gives these people freedom to come and go, who doesn't tattoo their faces, who doesn't brand them,
Right. Yeah.
And they come back because he's security and a meal at the end of the day,
Yeah, I follow what you're saying. Yeah.
So the second one was a warrior girl on a shield. And you think this is the Yunkish general Malaza? But I haven't a clue where you got that from.
Well, she was also mentioned in the Windblown chapter. And the funny thing is, I didn't do that chapter with you. That was you and Jenny. I was off that week.
I'm sure Jenny's got all this remembered.
Simon, we talked about this. I think what we learned about her at the time is that she commands a force of 100 strapping young slave soldiers.
That's right. I do remember now. Yeah.
So
why is she trying to buy Tyrion?
That is an excellent question. We never get the answer to that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she was planning on using their little act they do for a party she wanted to throw herself, like Yezzan did.
Possibly.
I don't know.
Yeah. Then there's the old crone Zarina, who really is just in here, I think, for comic relief, because she just adds one to every bid she hears.
Yes.
Which is going to be deeply annoying to the auctioneer. But also, she really risks spending a lot of money, because she goes up very high on some of these things. The one she's adding is to a very large number.
And then he is not called out in this part of the chapter, but the description fits him, and he is called out later in the chapter, and that is...
Right, and Tyrion says it is the same person he saw bidding for him.
Yes.
It's not just ambiguous, it is specified, yeah.
And that is Brown Ben Plum.
Uh-huh.
And Tyrion thinks that Brown Ben plans to sell Tyrion to Cersei, and I wondered if that is true. It's definitely possible. He's Westerosi. He's from a noble house, if not a acknowledged member of the house. He does have blood that stems from House Plum. And so therefore it'd be easier for Cersei to justify giving him a lordship. But it's a long way to King's Landing. There's a much closer queen that he could consider selling him to.
Very interesting, yes. I mean, obviously, he's probably pretty much persona non grata within the walls of Meereen because of his treachery. But, that being said, a peace offering of Tyrion Lannister would mend quite a lot of those bridges.
Possibly, yeah. It might be worth a try.
Right, yeah. Although, what's in it for him? What does he care about? He cares about payment and his next contract.
Yeah, now that there's a peace deal signed, now that there's been a wedding and the war theoretically is over, maybe now he just wants paid. He just wants to cash in. And if he could come on bended knee to Daenerys and say, I did this intentionally so that I could get you Tyrion of House Lannister.
Wait, let me follow your logic here, Brown Ben. You took my money, hightailed it, and then took their money, helped them to win this war, and now you want me to pay for this guy?
Well, yeah. Yeah, hopefully she's not thinking that deep, or he might be in some trouble. And I think she would be thinking just about that deep.
Yeah.
But Tyrion smartly conjures the Lannisters always pay their debts clue to Brown Ben Plum to tip off his identity. And then he leaves no doubt about it at all when he says, I bid all the gold in Casterly Rock. So
Right.
if Brown Ben was like, always pays their debts, that sounds familiar, then I think he's going to connect the dots with the all the gold in Casterly Rock bit.
Yeah. So it gets mentioned that the flux continues to rage outside the walls of Meereen. So that's presumably that's kind of dangerous now to the invaders because they are also on the outside of the walls, and it's got to be, we know it's from drinking the water, and pretty much everyone has to do that. So,
yeah,
it's to keep them safe.
With big events like what Yezzan hosted in this chapter, that feels like that could be rather dangerous.
Right, yeah. And Penny was serving water. So the thing is,
right.
People, if you drink beer and wine, you can get away from it. But it's hard to live on beer and wine and not get dehydrated. That dehydrates you. You need water too. And she was certainly serving water. That's probably spreading the joy.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the fact that Penny was serving water. That makes, that could be an issue.
Tyrion and Penny are, I think, because they're part of Yezzan's treasures, they get a golden torque, a collar.
Yeah.
And Tyrion tries to sell it to Penny. She's very upset by this, but he's like, actually in Westeros, the ladies would wear those as jewelry, so think of it that way.
Right.
Jorah, they don't bother with that. They brand Jorah, so that's not so nice.
Yeah, I think Jorah was branded by the slavers that took him on the ship.
I believe he was too, yes. Yeah. Not by Yezzan, but that's a lot more permanent, I think.
Yes, I was thinking that possibly even George Martin couldn't hit Sweet Penny with the branding iron. He does a lot of rough things to sweet, innocent people, but even he, I think, might have drawn the line at that one.
I feel like, Mackelly, if he hasn't finished Winds of Winter yet and he hears this episode, he's going to see that as like a red rag to a bull.
Well, you hold my mulled spiced wine.
Yes, exactly. Oh, you think so, do you, Mackelly? Let me show you what I'll do.
I think, though, you might be on the right track, that maybe because they're performers, he doesn't want a visible brand on their face or something like that. Which would be good for Tyrion, because if he ever does return to Westeros and tries to stake his claim to Casterly Rock, he's got enough issues that facial branding is not going to help matters much.
Although at this point, in for a penny, in for a pound on that face. It's not...
well, true. Yeah, he's missing a nose already.
It would be quite the brand for people to go, oh my God, look at that brand.
Oh, that right next to the missing nose and the huge scar on his face.
So many things to point at. So, Yezzan's grotesquerie, we mentioned the hermaphrodite sweets, but there's also a boy with goat-like legs, a bearded woman, a girl with two heads. It's the kind of thing you would see in a sort of like a Victorian era circus, and it's
right. Yeah.
It's grotesque in a way that they don't mean when they call it a grotesquerie.
Right. Yeah.
They mean, look at what we've got. They're all grotesques, but it's the fact of it that's the grotesque thing.
Yeah. And Sweets seems to be the leader of the group, at least the spokesperson, because Sweets can speak 4 languages and claims to be the favorite of Yezzan. And Tyrion gets slapped for simply saying, by Nurse, for simply saying that he and Penny had hoped to be the pretty ones. And I was thinking, oh boy, if he's getting slapped for comments like that, he might not survive this very long. He's never going to be able to hold his tongue that well. And Sweets mentions that Yezzan is dying from something that Yezzan picked up in Sothorios. I always struggle with that word. Sothorios, about 10 years ago. And that Yezzan is appreciative for the distraction, any kind of, as long as you can make him forget about it for a short time, he is appreciative of it. And that made me think that he might not live much longer. He's already immensely overweight.
Yeah.
And then add to that the fact that he has what appears to be an incurable disease.
Yeah.
They might.
And Tyrion says he gives off a foul smell of decay as well. So
Right. Yeah. I just wonder he might not last that much longer, and then they might end up in the hands of a new master who is worse. And would that expedite an escape plan timeline? Because Tyrion thinks about it as they're going through camp that he needs to escape. All he has to do is get inside the walls of Meereen, and he's a free man.
Right. Absolutely.
And he thinks the problem is Penny and her animals, that she will want to bring the animals, and it will be nearly impossible to escape with him, Jorah, Penny, Crunch, and Pretty. That would be quite the... But unless they're being led into the city to perform.
Right, exactly. Yes.
So
at this feast where they do perform, there's quite a few characters there. The Yunkish Supreme Commander is called Yurkazo Yunzak. He is very dour, and I think Nurse is very concerned as to how he will react to Tyrion and Penny's act. And so there's sort of there's a bit of attention given to his reaction. And at one point, I think maybe when a head flies off, he laughs and laughs and laughs. So this is why Nurse is happy with what they've done. But at that point, Yurkaz, the Supreme Commander, talks to Yezzan, the overweight slaver owner of Tyrion and Penny, and says something to them, to Yezzan. And Tyrion sees some anger in Yezzan's eyes. And you're asking what you think that is. I think I know, but I'll let you go first if you wish.
Well, okay, so some options are that we've mentioned, and thus far, we've only been in this situation for one day, but Yezzan appears to especially treat what he refers to, or what Nurse refers to, as Yezzan's pets better than average slave treatment.
Indeed. Yeah.
So maybe there was some suggestion about treatment, about something that Yezzan could do or should do or will do with these pets that Yezzan didn't like. Nurse comes up to them at the end of the chapter, this is how the chapter ends, and says, you're going to perform to celebrate the peace deal at the fighting pit. Maybe Yezzan doesn't like the idea of his slaves entering the free city for fear that they might not return to him as his slaves.
Yeah, I think it's more that second one. That's the one that I gravitated to, but not for that reason. I just think that Yurkaz wants them to perform in the fighting pits. That's where this idea came from that conversation. And Yezzan didn't like it because I think there's definitely a proprietariness to him. He doesn't want them being paraded for tens of thousands when they're his specials.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And I do think you're right about there being a little bit of danger of them slipping away while they're inside the walls of Meereen or something like that. But I actually think that I think Yurkaz might be trying to steal them from Yezzan.
Sure.
In some way. And that he might not get them back, not because they become freed, but because Yurkaz wants them for himself.
Sure.
So, but I definitely think that it's to do with the ownership and future of Tyrion and Penny that
Agreed.
Yezzan got angry.
Yeah, you have some good ideas. I like this. Maybe we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was another person in attendance is described as a Pentashi sellsword captain with a tattered cloak, and I'm pretty sure he's the Tattered Prince, the captain of the Windblown.
Right.
His description fits perfectly, and he is the same one that sent all of his Westerosi to Daenerys, along with Quentyn, Drink, and Arch as part of that group. And here he is mixing it up with Yunkish nobleman and the Supreme Commander of the army.
I mean, I've got to say, if I'm him, on some levels, I've abandoned that plan because this is over. You know,
right.
I was hedging my bets. I don't need to hedge my bets anymore. I'm on the winning side. You know.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Plans within plans. And lastly, of course, the Brown Ben Plum shows up and he is found out to be Brown Ben Plum. And we get what we already knew about Brown Ben sort of reinforced by Tyrion, who's learning him for the first time, which is that he's not very brave. He is actually quite cowardly and sort of like wants to look after number one first and foremost. He plays to not lose. He doesn't care about winning.
Yep.
And I think what the two adjectives, wary and hungry?
It was cautious. No, hungry and wary.
Hungry and wary. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that sounds like him. Wants stuff, but is too wary to go after the big prizes.
Yeah. We saw him leave Daenerys' side when he discovered the dragons weren't in play.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's during the slave market or at the feast, where Tyrion describes him, and I think it was during their cyvasse game, describes his eyes as greed hid behind a veil of caution.
Yeah. Yep. That sounds like him.
Yeah. Yeah. His playing style fits his real life personality.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I think that's kind of typically true of the way you play games. It does reflect a little bit your own personality, particularly chess. Sorry, I say chess, but of course this is cyvasse. But
right.
I get the feeling they are related games. All right, that's good. Why don't we move on to some spoilers? Spoilers are available to the upper tiers of our Buy Me a Coffee sustainers, but you can try any level out for 7 days for free. So give it a try, listen to what we say in the spoilers, and then sign up because you'll want to, I'm sure.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's good spoilers and good outtakes.
Yes.
Let's move on. How about some background?
Oh, I got to pull it together after that. Okay, well, so Sweets tells Tyrion and Penny that Yezzan went to Sarthorios 10 years ago and contracted a disease that he is slowly dying from. We mentioned that a little bit ago. The most surprising part of that story is that a man of his size was on an expedition to a place such as Sarthorios. As we've mentioned before, Sarthorios is the third continent of the known world, and although the existing maps show it as just a small landmass south of Essos, that is actually untrue. In reality, Sarthorios is thought to be huge. The reason the maps show so little of it is because so little has been explored. In fact, before the doom, a Valyrian dragon rider named Gennara Bellerys flew her dragon south through Sarthorios further than anyone else ever has, and after 3 years, she returned and claimed that the continent is actually larger than Essos, calling it a land with no end, finding only jungles and deserts and mountains. And why I said that it was only surprising that Yezzan generally visited the continent is because the land is known to be littered with plague. There are more known diseases on the continent than I can list here. I counted 12. So going there poses a major health risk, which is one of the main reasons why the land is so poorly explored. Another of those reasons is the inhabitants, but we'll get to that another time.
Yeah, so can I quiz you on that, though? Is it sparsely populated compared to the other two?
Yes, very much, because of some of the issues there.
Don't you think that would lead to it not having so many diseases?
Sure.
I thought you needed the incubation of large populations to keep diseases going. That's why when the conquistadors came to the Americas, they killed the natives with smallpox because we were bringing diseases that we'd incubated. They lived in less density and in a more open sort of like breathing good air sort of thing. So they weren't prepped for it. It feels strange that the diseases are coming from the less populated continent.
That makes sense. I didn't
Background
do a lot of research yet. Well, I didn't do a lot of research yet on how the disease is spread, the various diseases. I don't know if it's something you catch from an animal bite, something like that, or
if it's animal poisons, then our world does have a parallel there because 19 of the top 20 most poisonous snakes in the world are Australian.
Right.
So that is a country with just an arms race of poisons for some reason.
Yes, exactly.
All right, comparison with the television show. A reminder: there never was a Penny in the television show.
Right.
But, Jorah and Tyrion are traveling together, and they get picked up by slavers. But the being sold into slavery scene is inverted and actually makes a bit more sense. The one who's worth a lot is Jorah, and he is the one who gets bought at a high price. And Tyrion manages to get himself bought by the same person so that they can stick together.
Yeah, with no Penny and no act for them to perform, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Jorah makes the point that Tyrion's, a good mascot, good, he can make you laugh, sort of thing, and that's how they end up staying together. But and the character who buys them is Yezzan. I mean,
they kept Yezzan.
His name is Yezzan, so he is kept. But after that, things go a little bit differently. But
okay,
they are sold into slavery. So Pedantry Corner. Now, you fell for what I fell for in my first couple of read-throughs. I thought there was a mix-up on which game Tyrion lost, but in actual fact, the only game he lost was game 2.
Right.
But Yezzan falls asleep during game 3. They kept on upping the ante of these games. But the man whose money it was asleep for the start of games 4 and game 5. So who's in charge there?
I wondered that same thing. Yeah. Who's setting the price? Is it Nurse? Was there a second in command that was like, okay, I approve? There's no way Tyrion was allowed to just set
let's go again.
The amounts. Yeah.
This time we're playing for my freedom.
Right. I'm agreeing to that on this time.
Now that he's asleep. News and notes. Sorry, you had one. Sorry, I thought that was just a typo.
No, so I am no expert when it comes to how auction
you can just end that sentence there, my friend.
I'm no expert.
I'm no expert.
Yes. Although I did work as a runner at an auction house back in my youth, but I don't know all the rules and such. But I'm pretty sure that this slave market here doesn't have Price is Right rules, where you bid and you're fixed on your bid. So if someone bids one more coin, dollar, whatever than you, that they beat you. And so I just don't quite get the crone's philosophy here by bidding and one to the end of everyone's bids. Because who's going to if you bid 450 coins and someone bids 451, if you're already that committed, you're not going to be like, oh, well, shoot, I'm out now. I'm not going to 452. She's got me. There's no way I'm going to do that. That's way overpriced now.
She saw the way I looked through my purse when she put that extra one on, and she knew I was out.
I only had 450 coins. I just don't know how successful that type of strategy would be, unless you're hoping the person who bid forgot or to change their mind. And because no one is going to be outbid by one coin once you get up over
if you want
20. Yeah. So
I wonder if she's on the payroll of the auctioneer, because it kind of like it's just going to randomly make another bid happen. It's never going to be. She's never, like you say, she's never going to win. But again, she is risking having to buy someone at a very high price, because she bid into the thousands on Tyrion and Penny, and I'm not sure she can really afford that.
So
that's a good point. It's a good point. I if I ran that place and she kept coming, I would say minimum raise is
50 at least, or something.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be 50, but maybe a percentage of where you're at.
Percentage, yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, news and notes.
Well, George Martin announced that Tyler Jacobson will be the artist for the 2027 A Song of Ice and Fire calendar. There's no preview of that yet, but he did remind everyone that the Night of the Seven Kingdoms 2026 calendar, illustrated by artist Tom Kidd, is out and available for the holiday season. So if you're looking for that last-minute gift, go check that out. There is a link to it on his most recent blog post if you really are interested.
Right. Sounds good. So I'm just reading this that I'm about to read out for the first time, but I already have an idea for what I'm going to say at the end of this. So
Okay.
there's also a dunk and egg challenge underway. I always feel the need to enunciate dunk and egg, because otherwise you get dunk and egg, and you're like, what is that word, you know? If you know someone who embodies courage, valor, honor, and sacrifice, you can nominate them to be knighted by George Martin himself at the LA fan premiere of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. You can do so by using the hashtag Knight Challenge on TikTok and tag the person you want to nominate. Listeners, join me. Well, okay, I say join me, but I don't know how to use TikTok. Join me in nominating our noble friend, Mackelly Ray.
Oh, no.
To be knighted.
Let's not do that.
Courage, valor, honor, sacrifice, it's you to a T.
I don't have a TikTok account, so they can't tag me.
Yeah, we're stymied by this. Yeah. I have too much courage, valor, honor, and sacrifice to have a TikTok account.
Well, I appreciate the idea, though.
You're 4 for 4. I'm looking at those, and I'm like, I'm 0 for 4. I got none of those.
No, you are
things.
not.
No, I mean, that's just not me. It's just not my
That's
thing.
not true. You have all those things.
Never mind. Okay, well, if we can convince Mackelly, so just join me on the Discord server to bombard Mackelly with demands that he joins TikTok, so that if you can get him to join TikTok, then I'll join TikTok, just so I can do one post nominating him for this.
Then delete your account. And I will do the same.
All right, let's draw a line under this one. So, our heroes, our POV heroes of this chapter, have made it to Meereen.
Yay!
Slavery,
probably not under the circumstances that they had hoped for. Although I will say, the Widow of the Waterfront delivered on her promise.
She did. Yeah.
She was sending them to Meereen, and
her
they
promise
got there.
Was random as hell, but she got
just outside the walls of their final destination too.
Yeah.
But boy, they are in a pickle now. They're definitely out of the frying pan that was the Selesori Quran and into the fire that is being actual slaves in a slave camp. I mean, that's awful.
For sure.
If it was just Tyrion and Jorah, they might realistically be able to escape, but it's going to be a lot harder with Penny, and if she insists on bringing the two animals, I don't even know how that would be possible.
And I mean, as an animal lover, my heart goes out to her, you know.
Me too.
I can't imagine leaving them behind, but she
Agreed.
really may need to if they want to escape this. And is escape necessary? Well, I mean, it's necessary for the forward motion of the story, but also Yezzan is creepy as hell, and Nurse looks like a psychopath. So you might want to escape just for the heck of it, not just to appease me, the reader. Yes,
agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, but even then, as you say, it could have been worse. You know, Yezzan is going to protect Penny and Tyrion, it seems. He may not care very much about Jorah, but...
Yeah, I mean, who's to say that had Brown Ben Plum won in the bidding, that he was going to take Tyrion full-bodied to Cersei? All Cersei's asking for is his head, you know?
In fact, he could maybe sell him twice. He could take him full body into Meereen and say to Daenerys, hey, you can have the lower half of this guy.
I just want one part.
I just want the head.
He doesn't even have a nose.
The head back with him. Has Tyrion's intervention helped Mormont? I mean, I think it's given him a path to redemption, perhaps, that he probably wouldn't have had if he'd just been sold to any old rando.
Yeah, the crone, Zarina, she was the one that was the highest bidder, I think, up to the point when Nurse told Yezzan that he was part of the act. And Nurse told Tyrion and Penny that Zarina basically just buys cheap fodder for champions in the fighting pit.
Right.
So who knows? He might have been put up against 5-1 odds or something against.
Right.
Basically, I was picturing in my head that she provides the Washington Generals to the Harlem Globetrotters.
I see. Is that who the Harlem Globetrotters typically play?
Yes, the Washington Generals.
Oh, I did not know that. I just assumed they played any old local team, but they play the Washington Generals. That's the...
Yes, yeah.
And I've actually been to see the Harlem Globetrotters. As a very young child, I loved the Harlem Globetrotters. I thought they were the most exciting thing imaginable. Yeah. And so I went to see them with Lucas when Lucas was little.
I've never been. I should have.
The Washington Generals, they can play basketball. They're very good at basketball.
Yeah.
They're no mugs.
They're all players.
Yeah. But
I just, if this person who generally provides those who are meant to be slaughtered in the fighting pits, if she accidentally buys a good fighter like Jorah, would she treat him differently? Like, oh, I actually have someone who can hold his own in the fighting pit.
If I'm sending fighters to the pits and I'm getting some money back for doing it, if I can send one that can win, I can play some bets on him. Why not? Let's make some extra money off this guy.
Probably long odds and get
exactly.
return.
Yeah. Brown Ben, well, he's a wild card. We don't know. Certainly, he's betrayed Dany to date, but now he's made a connection to Tyrion. Like you say, we've been speculating about it on this episode. It does feel like that's a possible re-engagement with Daenerys for everybody involved, for both Jorah and Brown Ben.
Right.
And, Tyrion's a first timer, but...
Well, he keeps showing up, Brown Ben, so it feels like Martin must have some future plans for him. It just feels that way.
Yeah. I still think he's got Targaryen blood. He's going to be a dragon rider. That's definitely going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Or at least a dragon tamer. I think he's going to help with the dragons. I always thought that. In fact, I was kind of disappointed when he was shown the dragons last time, right? Is that right? Did she show him?
No, he was just told.
Just told him.
Yeah,
yeah. I think he should go down there and say, look, there's nothing wrong with these guys, and show that he's not afraid of them. But
yeah, well, she'd always felt like the dragons liked him. So,
Exactly.
I wasn't be onto something.
I wasn't making this up. You know what? Who we have next time? Unbelievably, in chapter 48 of this book, we have a new character for the book. We have Jaime 1 next time.
Who?
Jaime.
Jaime? You mean from Feast of Crows, Jaime?
Jaime was in Feast for Crows, right? He had quite a few chapters in Feast for Crows. So do you think that means we've caught up the timeline? Is that how you perceive that?
That would make sense, wouldn't it? Because we'll have to find out next week to see whether this chapter is advanced from last we saw Jaime.
Well, I see what you mean. Or is it going backwards to show something that happened in the intermediate?
Right, that we might have missed in this POV.
Interesting.
Yeah, if it's a forward-moving chapter, then it would make sense that we would be ahead of Feast.
Well, there we are. There are 3 ways that you can help us out. You could leave us a positive review and a 5-star rating. You could buy us a cup of Arbor Gold at buymeacoffee.com/ghostsharrenhal. Become a sustainer there at any of the various levels. There's a tier to match your budget and interest. The upper tiers get you the spoilers, and you can try any of the tiers for 7 days for free. Or you can make a donation directly to our cause through our website, ghostsofharrenhal.buzzsprout.com.
And if you're looking for more ways to interact with us, well, one thing I suggest you do is you can send us a text. The link is at the top of every episode show notes. Please just keep in mind we have no means of responding, but we do enjoy reading them. And if you're interested in keeping up on the latest Ghost of Harrenhal news and developments, you can check us out on our social media. You can follow us on Twitter at Ghost Harrenhal. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Discord, and YouTube. And if you check it out this week, you may have seen the video of my dog Penny discovering her evil twin.
Oh, yes, I did see that. Yes, it was very funny. Yeah.
It was...
And
Anyway.
You didn't include TikTok there, but obviously TikTok is coming now. All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.